Le Monstre follows 5 different characters. It's Gabriella Versado, who is the police detective who is investigating the case. She's a single mom. She's struggling a lot to balance her career and being a mom, which I think a lot of women do. And her daughter Layla is very troublesome. She's 15 years old. She's getting herself into trouble on the internet. At the same time, Gabby is having to deal with this just the most insane murder she's ever seen. And she's been working in homicide for 8 years. She has seen some really bad stuff. But this body of a little boy who's been cut in half and somehow attached to a deer, it's almost a mythological figure. And she's trying to figure this out and trying to stop the killer before he strikes again. And she's also very jaded. You know, she's seen enough to know that justice doesn't always work. And she's going to have to be the moral center to fight against this thing, which is attacking the city. My favorite character to write in Le Monstre was Layla, who is the 15-year-old daughter of Gabby Versado, the detective who's investigating the case. And Layla is full of fire and spark, and she's very righteous, and she feels very passionately. And she's just getting herself into a world of trouble with her best friend Cass. They're going online and they're baiting guys. It starts off fairly innocently, where they're kind of baiting guys who are, you know, being sexually provocative on the internet. And it gets worse and worse until the point where they're actually trying to catch a pedophile. And they're getting into a very, very dangerous situation. And Layla doesn't really understand what Cass's motivation is. And she will discover that she actually has a really terrible dark secret. And it's about how their relationship plays out and what happened to her. That really kind of, it's this second story in the book. And then everything ties in at the end. The character TK in Le Monstre is based on a man I met, James Harris. They share a childhood. And he's living homeless in the streets of Detroit, and he's a hustler. But not in the negative sense. He's trying to do whatever it takes to get by. And I find that is definitely the spirit in Detroit, that people have this hustler mentality where you do what you can. You know, you make a plan, you figure stuff out. And what TK does is he goes into houses that have been abandoned and he tries to salvage stuff. He tries to find, you know, old clothes that he passes on to his friends, or he tries to find, you know, an old TV set that maybe he can sell for some money. But he's trying to kind of build a family for himself, and his big dream is to have a home and to be able to move his family in. The character of Jono in Le Monstre, he's a very ambitious journalist. He's dreaming of writing the great American novel. And he's left New York and he's come to what he considers to be the worst place on earth, Detroit, because he's going to reinvent himself and he's going to find the great stories and he's going to make his career here. But he can't. And he finds all the stories have been covered before and he's not getting anywhere until he meets this really cool girl, Jen Q. And she's very involved in the art scene and she opens all the doors for him to this amazing side of Detroit that he didn't know existed. And he finds that there's a lot more to it than the cliche of this blighted, ruined place. But he's very ambitious and he's willing to make a lot of compromises. And when the murders start happening, he finds himself in a position where he can profit off it and he can expose it, and this is going to make his career. And he starts filming it, and this leads to all kinds of trouble. Clayton in Le Monstre is a thwarted artist. He's just had a bad run of it. He hasn't been able to connect to people. He desperately wants love and acceptance and for people to recognize his art. And he's just failed. And then something happens to him and he becomes possessed by an idea, a grand vision of remaking the world. And this idea gets horribly, horribly out of hand. He calls it the dream, and he feels that it lives in him and that if he can just get it right, he can make other people see the same things that he does and see the world the way he does, and that the terrible things that he's doing and the terrible monsters that he's making will stand up and live. And he genuinely believes that the people he's killed and the monsters he's made are beautiful and that they will stand up and live.